Welcome to this info session. My name is Dr. Jennifer Ingrey. I go by Jenny, and I'm really happy to have this opportunity to talk to you today about our MPEd program in equity and social justice. And that is what it is called, the Master of Professional Education in the field of equity and social justice. And I want to talk to you today about what that means, help you understand it, see if this is a good fit for you. We are considering this to be a really innovative degree because it's an opportunity for current professionals who are either already in equity and social justice work or who want to enhance their understanding and skills in equity and social justice in their professional work. And that's what we bring to you, and you bring to us that professional context. We consider our graduates from the MPEd Equity Social Justice program to be at the forefront of their work in doing equity and social justice. And the fields that our graduates are located in really span quite broadly. We have graduates in K to 12 schooling, both in the public and the private sectors. We also have students in higher education, broadly in healthcare or social services. We've had students in library and information fields, other care work like early childhood education, and it continues because what we can offer in this program seems to be able to serve quite a broad group of professionals. And in this capacity, we believe that the MPEd provides knowledge and skills to inform and to improve your ongoing professional education, but also to be supportive towards you getting into leadership positions, either in local contexts or even internationally or globally. I will speak to some of the elements of this program as we go through. And I might be repeating myself, but just so that I make sure that you understand what is really key to this program. It is set up as an online program, and it does culminate in something called a capstone project, which is an application then of your academic and your professional understanding and knowledge and learning. And I'll speak to that as we go on. All of the courses in the program are then set up online. And just a little note to let you know that while we do have some of our students come in already with an Ontario College of Teachers certificate, it is not a program that will accredit you in that way. And therefore, it's not even necessary to have an OCT accreditation to take this program. The broad summary of our program, again, I think we have lots of advantages. It is full time, but it's full time as in you only take one course a term. You take these courses consecutively and you take it across the 2-year program. I will show you later the scaffolding of that. We think an advantage in that is that it is intensive, but it's balanced with your ability to do your professional work. It is entirely online delivery. The capstone project we also see as an advantage because it allows you to show and apply your understanding of what you've been doing thus far. We think then again, this program is for professionals who want to advance their careers, who are interested in either promotion and leadership positions, who want to enhance the work that they're doing currently, maybe who need that edge. They're in this professional space and they need to understand how to process, how to bring language to and conceptual frameworks to the problems of practice they are experiencing in their fields. And then working, of course, with the cohort and with instructors through the program in the way that it is set up, we hope is bringing that edge to our graduates. The program starts in September and then continues throughout for the 2 years and runs in that consecutive way. And you'll learn, I think, well, I can speak to the courses as we go, but you will learn theory that we want to see how we can bridge it to practice. It's no good to just have theory that remains esoteric, but it's also no good to have practice that is not theory informed. And that's what this program does, is it really combines the academic and the professional sort of nexus there. The word infusing equity into practice is super important because we do believe it works that way. It's not an add-on. Equity can never be done as an afterthought. It has to be preparative, it has to be a precursor, and it has to weave through everything that we are doing at all times. That's the infusion of it. And so, even what that means or what that might look like in your program is certainly, and in your professional capacity, is certainly something that this program will allow you to explore. And then ultimately, you're enhancing the professional learning that you can do because you're getting that professional academic edge, and it gets to be tailored to your specific interests and your specific needs. The program objectives, I could read this all to you, but I want to just tell you that it is about supporting the professional and academic learning of not only educators, because again, as I said, we have more than just educators in our program. Sometimes we have people who do education in the form of training, but sometimes we have it in more informal ways also. And so somehow the sort of principles of education, in fact, become maybe not the primary focus of what our students are doing, but that the field is informing what they need to be doing in their professional work. We are able to, at least in the online capacity, allow for opportunity for students to reflect on their current day-to-day problems of practice, or even sort of bigger problems of practice that they might conceptualize in their careers. And both in coursework and then in the capstone, there are opportunities to really work with the theory to figure out how that can be understood. And in so doing, we believe we're building in you, in our graduates, a critically reflective professional knowledge base that you will hold with you throughout your career. Your education can never be taken from you. And we really see that it's an integration of the practical and the research-based knowledge that is allowing you to see your problems of practice quite differently and to look to how you can address them, unpack them, and sort of move towards improved practice by linking theory with a systematic kind of academic inquiry. And in that way, too, we're hoping we are encouraging the generation, the transformation, and the use of a framework we call critically reflective professional practice, which again is something that you can carry with you throughout your career and into further education also. The outcomes of our graduates, again, it's involving the knowledge base that you get to sort of be exposed to, but also I want to say the knowledge that you can bring through lived experience, through your professional experience into the program to share with your colleagues, and that gets that sort of edge as it is enhanced through the readings, through the discussions. We look at broadly equity and social justice, but then we take time to focus on specific dimensions. And so having that ability to speak in specificity is really important in equity and social justice work. So for instance, we take courses that look at anti-racism approaches that understand what is race as a social construct with material effects. We look at Indigenous education, but also decolonization. We look at anti-poverty strategies, but through an anti-classist framework. We are looking at gender equity through a specific gender equity lens. And then in addition to, and sometimes overlapping, trans affirming education, that is transgender affirming education, as well as queer affirming education. So Therein, we're looking at sexual and gender diversities. And then I should say too, intersections therein. That's very important that these are not sort of siloed dimensions, that they do overlap and intersect. Research and scholarship is also something you will really engage in. You will have an opportunity to read again broadly, but then to focus and to look at what is currently in those fields. What is the existing literature? What are the more recent, but also really important historical empirical studies that establish that field that help us figure out what we can do to apply to our professional problems of practice or to contribute then to our capstone projects. And this application of knowledge that happens also through the courses, but in the capstone project, through maybe a specific equity dimension, and those dimensions are what I listed at that top line there around race and gender and class. We want to see how that gets addressed in either policy analysis, maybe it's a piece of curriculum you're looking at, or maybe it's an examination of your professional practice through critical reflexivity. So these graduate outcomes are things that you will leave the program having expertise in, but it's because you're practicing it throughout the program. That means too, your communication skills, that is your written and your verbal work, will get exercised quite regularly and consistently. So please don't worry if you've taken some time away from formal education and maybe this is your first foray back to it. It is our job as instructors and professors to support you in doing that work, and to give you feedback all the time on the effectiveness of your expression, of the clarity, and of your ability to synthesize the literature and the theory to show that application to professional practice. And though in doing, while we give you that support, we also respect and endorse an autonomy that you have already as a professional coming into the program, but also in that academic sense that you get to demonstrate through your expertise, right? You know your professional area and you know your lived experience, and you bring these in, and that's really respected and celebrated too in our program. So the timing and delivery of the program, I think I said a few of these things already, but it is full-time status. However, it feels not so full-time because you're only taking one course at a time. Their half courses are considered to be, but it is one course in one term, and then you go to the next term, you take another course, etc., etc. It is a total of 8 courses that spans your 2 years. The terms, as you see on the screen there, are fall, winter, intersession, and summer. Um, the capstone is actually taken up in a course, so it's not ever something you have to do extra. It's actually part of the course programming or the program that you will see. The cohort model is approximately 20 students in a single cohort. That cohort you travel with, if you will. I mean, it is online, but you will have a lot of opportunity to interact with each other in some capacity in a synchronous format and mostly an asynchronous. So if you're concerned about that, it is an asynchronous model, which means that things are done sort of in a maybe in week one, for example, there'll be tasks that you have to complete, but you can do them at any time in that week one. And then you move to week two tasks, etc., in any one course. However, there should be some opportunities for synchronous meetings and learning and classes. These will be in the minority of opportunities because we need to respect that you are most likely full-time professionals working with lives, with families, with all the rest. And so how we want to support you in balancing all of that is really important. So there are always chances to, if the schedules conflict, that you would be able to do an alternative assignment instead of maybe always going on to the synchronous, but we do want to give those opportunities for synchronous learning. I know in the past my students have really, really enjoyed it and have wanted even more opportunities. And in that way, then you'll see I'm right in the middle of this slide here saying that it's a professional community of practice. And that only happens with a community. That community we really try to cultivate throughout these courses. So it requires continuous enrollment. You will go from course to course to course in the same way with your same cohort to be able to complete the courses within the timeline that is allocated. Again, that culminating capstone, it is in a course in the final term, and you will be able to see extra details online about these courses. I can speak to them on the next slide. And of course, you have access, though, even though you're online, you have access to all Western student services, which is quite wonderful. Some of those can be done online. And if you happen to be near the City of London, where Western is, maybe you can access things in person also. So this gives you the overview of the courses in this way. And you can see that it is the 4 courses per year across these 4 terms. And they have their specific course code numbers. You don't have to worry about that. But it is a scaffolded progression, if you will, only in that it's giving you opportunity to focus and then to see another focus. You'll see the first course is called Introduction to Equity and Social Justice Education. And so that we call kind of like a survey course, if you will, in that you're going to get a little taste of a lot of these topics or these dimensions of equity and social justice. And you will want to probably in that course dive deeper, but you will get that opportunity when you get to those courses. So you'll see in the winter of that first year, you're entering into now one of those dimensions of equity, looking specifically at anti-poverty education. And then in the intersession, you'll have a specific focus, an introduction to and a working with gender equity in education. What is that? What does that mean? How can we look at our positionality as professionals and as individuals through a gender equity lens? And then in the summer, you will be taking Indigenous education called Implications for Social Justice Education and seeing sort of how does that fit and yet how is Indigenous education sometimes separate from equity and social justice initiatives. In the fall, you'll be taking sexual diversity and transgender equality in education. So that's where we bring in the sexual diversity component, the queering education I had talked about, as well as the trans affirmation and trans affirming education. Winter, now you get your focus on race, ethnicity, and education. And then you will see intersession and summer. Okay, now we are moving into your capstone. So the intersession is building those blocks for your capstone project and introducing you to some kinds of methodologies that would be appropriate for you to be able to complete in this program that are ethically sound, but also don't require an ethical review board because it's not that big R research. You'll learn all about that in that course. And then we complete with your capstone, and that's it. It'll look different than the other courses because now you're doing your independent work, but it's going to allow you to have that contact still with a professor. So the capstone is what we consider a culmination of the interests that you've been maybe coming into the program with, or maybe just cultivating all the way through. It can comprise a single dimension, like you might be really keen on trans affirming education, and that's what you want to focus on. Or you might see that there are intersections that you would really love to bring to your problem of practice. And so, for example, you could say, I want to look at Black girls' education and trans affirming education, for example. So how can you overlap and see these intersections in your focus? Again, as I said on the other slide, several methodological options are available to you, again, that are grounded in ethically sound work, but not not allowing you to be sort of delayed, I guess, in waiting for ethical review boards. And we are thinking again, I think I said this on an earlier slide, but in what ways are you going to be looking at maybe policy that's in your current professional context that you are looking at all the time that you think requires an unpacking? Is it curricular materials? Are you building something? Are you analyzing something? Or are you looking at your own positionality and your own reflexivity in doing your professional work? I think when I've taught several of these courses, I always recommend students kind of get that interest and make sure that they remember that interest and maybe keep a journal as they're going, because it could be something as you're going through courses that you think, gosh, that reflection I had on that topic in that course is really something I can develop into my capstone. And this would be the perfect opportunity to be able to do that. So ultimately, I just want to say, I mean, so it's a wonderful program. I've been teaching in it for quite some time, and I really enjoy every year meeting new students and learning. Again, it's sort of back and forth reciprocal that I also learn from students. But I'm so keen to see you all and to welcome you all into this program, and I thank you for your attention.